Okay, so today's going to be kind of a different video. I put in the title, we're going to address the elephant in the room here. Recently, in the past few days, there's been a bit of chatter and back and forth about the Crumrine, about the big gold. The original, not the all gold copy made by AFX or the JMR 3D or the 2D or the textured or any of that. Just the original from 1986 to the year 2000. And in particular, in the eye of the storm, are these two makers. One is C4, the other is Arosha. And to be totally transparent with you guys, I have held neither of their two offerings of the big gold in my hands. But we have these things called photographs, we have videos, we have screenshots to where you can look just with your own eyes and see the differences. And you can look with your own eyes and see which one is more accurate. And I have taken the past couple days to pour over detail after detail of what I've noticed. And if we're going to quote chapter and verse, we need a Bible. And this is our Bible. This is our barometer. This is our measuring stick. This is the Big Gold Book written by Dick Bourne. And obviously Conrad Thompson owns the original Big Gold, and he was kind enough to lend the belt to be photographed and all that sort of stuff. So this is basically what we're going to do. Now, the two makers, if I haven't mentioned already, are Arosha belts and C4. And first, with C4, you're getting their belt for $4,500. Arosha belts is coming in at $1,950. Both are on leather. Both are plated. They're done at those two prices, $4,500 and $1,950. So, are you getting more belt for your money with C4? Because what they're alleging is that it's called C4 authentic belts. So they're alleging that their process of making their big gold is more authentic and genuine to the original that was made by Charles Crumrine and Crumrine Jewelers in Reno, Nevada, and then later finished up with the leather by Ralph Harris Leather. And Arosha has made strides in their big gold, and they are coming in at less than half the price. So I'll just say this in effort of full transparency. Also, I have no qualms with either one of these guys. When I talked to Colin with C4 March of last year, I think, couldn't have been nicer. I was contemplating buying one, ended up not doing it. And then with Arosha, I've had good dealings with them. Not only the maker, I think it's Shazab, I think that's how you say his name. And then Gary, the middleman, the admin, gotten along, just been cordial and polite and all that good stuff. So we're going to get into this. And like I said, I've taken a few days to look over not only the book, but also photos on Facebook from C4 and their Instagram, as well as Arosha Belts on Facebook. Now, the first thing that jumps out at me when I look at the C4 compared to the Big Gold, I'm going to put this over to this side of the screen so you guys can see over here that something's off with the shape. It just is. And I couldn't figure out exactly what it was. And then they took the original Big Gold to StarCast and put it next to the C4 belt. So the C4 belt is sitting next to the original Big Gold, and that's when I started to see the differences and zooming in more. And now I'm going to put the photo up where I've highlighted. You can see the bottom of the main plate is pointier on the C4 as opposed to the way it's supposed to be. You can see that the little arch here that makes up the top part of the main plate, it's not as steep of a curve. It starts from a little bit further away and has a more gentle curve, and it doesn't come up to the same peak. It's not as steep of a curve. And then this portion here, you can see how it kind of goes down diagonally a little bit and then starts to go a little bit more horizontal as it gets out to the edge of the main plate. Theirs is more diagonal, just on a straight line. And that's something that I noticed after a while, but it took me a while. It took me a while to figure out what it was. So the things that I noticed with the main plate that are wrong. What we're going to do is we're going to put up here the C4, and the C4, the main plate that where it's flawed is right here around this concho. So you can see, where's my pin? There it is. Right here above this concho, up and to the left, there's this little floral pattern. Now you look at the C4, that's missing. That's supposed to be there. And it's not. So that's an artwork flaw. And then on the side plates, there's also a bit of artwork flaw. I'm saying that right. Let's see, page 129 is where I need to get to. Okay, so here's the side plates. You can see how closely the grapplers are to this floral pattern on this side and on this side, and how intricate it is. Okay, now I'm going to back out, and over here, I'm going to show you C4. It's not the same. And that's just, and also one other thing, I feel like their negative space in between the gold is wider. The silver bleeds through more than it should. It's wider in between the floral pattern, which allows more silver to seep through, but it's not accurate. So those are just artwork flaws that I found. So you have plate size and plate shape that are wrong. You have the artwork on the main plate right here around this concho that's wrong. You have on the side plates, that's missing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put up right now, we're going to put up Arosha real quick. This is Arosha's side plates. And you can kind of, here, I'll put this to this side of the screen. It's closer. Okay. Now the main plate. So those are two things with the artwork and the shape of the plate that I can find. Other things, other than the shape and the artwork that we're looking at, is lettering. So you could see here, there's an indentation in this R. Okay. We're going to put up C4 real quick. C4 seems to have that missing. It's lacking it. And I don't understand why, especially when they tout that their lettering is hand done. That should be in there. The R, somebody said on a Facebook comment, I wish I can give them credit, but I can't remember who said it. Said the R looks like an egg with a comb over. And, you know, that's a comedic assessment, but that is not too far from what it actually is. And then also, I'll put up another photo that I've seen of a C4 with the S in the word wrestling. Let's see if I can get that to focus a little better. See, lettering is on page 93. You can tell I made a little cheat sheet, right? So the texturing on the inside, but also notice nothing's jagged. I mean, you can see that from probably being handled, but as far as like the lines are pretty much all clean. So the letter S in the word wrestling, you can see that jagged portion that I circled compared to the original. And look, if this C4 belt, instead of being $4,500, if it was an $800 replica or a $1,200 replica or maybe even 15 for a belt this intricate and this detailed, maybe you can excuse it. But $4,000, $4,500 to be exact, that's up there. That's probably the most pricey replica that I can think of. That beats out the IWGP belts. That beats out anything from WWE Shop, whether it's the Elite Series or not. That, I mean, you're talking about getting a belt made by a maker at that point. I don't mean a Pakistan maker. I mean like an American-made maker. If you were to get somebody like Top Rope Belts to make you a belt, that'd probably be what you would spend. And just to put it in context, look, a brand new Gibson Les Paul Supreme is $4,000. You're going to charge somebody $4,500 for a belt that's just going to sit on a belt stand. It should be the most accurate. One thing I forgot to mention is the crown. So, the crown, what page is that on? 112. 94, 108, we're almost there. 110. So, it's upside down in the book. But you can see how detailed this engraving is. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this up here for both belts. This is C4's crown. And this is Arosha's crown. To me, it's night and day difference. They, in all fairness, C4 did not put up very detailed photos of their crown. This is what I was able to pull off of social media. But I mean, the Arosha one wins. And that's just my opinion. So, other thing, I was going to point this out. If they're making the big gold as accurately as they say, which is they're using the same process and the materials are right and everything, then there's a little bit of an impasse. There's a little bit of a fly in the ointment in terms of one big thing. And we're going to open up to where they talk about the bend in the bend in the top. Let's see, cast pieces. You know what? Let me pause this real quick and find it. Hang on. Okay, we're back. So, one of the things that it mentioned in the book that caught my eye is at some point the belt was either dropped or thrown against something hard enough to bend the thick sterling silver plate. No easy task. Okay? So what they're saying in the book is that it's made of sterling silver, and then it's gold plated, and then the gold plating is removed to expose the silver where they want it. So obviously in between the letters, around the grapplers. This, I guess, at one point was all gold plated, and they removed it wherever they felt necessary to expose the silver portions. Okay. But here's a post from Colin not too long ago on C4's belt page about how it is sterling silver plated on top of German silver. So it's not right. Whether now you're talking about artwork, talking about plate shape, you're talking about materials. I mean, I guess what they do right is the front and back veg tan leather. I guess what they do right is the 24 karat gold plating. And it's not done in necessarily a bad way, but there are glaring flaws. The one thing I was going to tell Arosha to work on, and I'm so glad that I had already shot this video and edited it, and I was getting ready to put it on. I thought, you know what, let me take one more look and make sure I got all my ducks in a row. And I'm so glad I did. So let's put up here the image of the globe. I could have sworn. Yeah, not a great photo there. Okay, hang on, guys. Aha. So see how the globe in the recessed portions here, it's just horizontal lines. Now I'm going to back out a little bit. When Arosha, the last time I really paid attention to their crumb rind, the recessed portion of the globes looked like this in terms of texturing. I'll put that photo up now. They have since gone back and updated their artwork, and now the globe looks like this. So the one thing I was going to tell them, hey, if you want to, there's one thing you should change, I think, to make it more accurate that I found, and they've already gotten it. They've already squared it away. So that was the one thing with Arosha that I was going to sort of, put a bug in their ear and say, hey, that might be something you want to work on. And they're on top of it. So there's the original crown. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I haven't touched on here. Plate shape at the top, like I said, here's a photo of this is from C4's official Facebook. You could see the drop off between the peaks on each side of the top of the plate, and you could see the pointiness difference highlighted here, as well as over here where it starts to go towards the side. That's actually a really good example of how inaccurate the plate shape is at the top, the bottom, and towards the sides as it goes towards the side plates. Lettering, again, the jaggedness of the lettering, especially on that letter S, the way the letter R could be better. That's another thing that I touched on. Let's see, I touched on the crown. Not great shots of the texturing on the crown. If I get some more, I'll revisit this, but it doesn't look as good as what Arosha is doing. Artwork on the main plate, I touched on the concho and the floral pattern that's supposed to be above it, as well as to the left of it. So I guess you consider it behind it. That's missing on the C4. And then the artwork on the side plates, where you get close to the wrestlers, get close to the grapplers, it should continue, and it doesn't. It should make its way closer to the grapplers, and it doesn't. Now, C4 has, in all fairness, said we are not trying to recreate the big gold. That's what they've said. We're trying to make our own version of the big gold. Well, then you can't claim to be authentic. I'm sorry, but I just pointed out inaccuracies. If you're going to do the big gold the way it's supposed to be, that would be authentic. The way you're doing it is like it's like a cover band or something. It's just, it's not the real thing. It's not trying to be the real thing. It's its own thing. Okay, that's fine, but that needs to be said, number one. And number two, why are you charging people $4,500 for a belt that has so many inaccuracies? It doesn't make sense. You can't be both. You can't be the most accurate, the most authentic, but also we're going to do our own thing. So to break all this down, and no, I'm not trying to hurt somebody's business here, but the guy that pointed out the concho thing was on a Facebook post, and he circled it and he brought it to C4's attention on their page, and rather than making adjustments to their product, they just booted him. And then he went to other pages talking about what his experience, how they booted him off theirs. So here's my putting a bow on this, getting to a point. Are you getting a better belt for almost $2,600 more dollars? I don't believe you are. I think you're getting a very nice belt, but if it were mine, and I'm not going to tell you where to spend your money, I'm just going to tell you where I'm willing to spend mine, right? If it were mine, I would look at that every time I saw it, every time I looked at it, and I go, well, that's wrong. Well, that's wrong. That's wrong. But hey, I got a really nice case. I got a really nice belt bag with it. I mean, it would just rub me the wrong way every time I looked at it. So, and I told Gary this privately over Messenger. This is months ago, I think. I said, dude, I think you and Classic Shields, Arosha and Classic Shields, make the best crumb rind on the market. And at the time, he hadn't seen, like we all hadn't seen, the flaws that are embedded in the C4. And he was of the opinion that C4's was better. Since then, he's come around and he's been more informed, and we all have, about the inaccuracies with the C4. And I cannot personally see myself wanting to own a C4 Big Gold when I know that A, there's a more accurate belt, B, a more affordable belt. It just, don't don't ever expect to see a C4 in my collection unless I'm trying to just move it along, because there's even been some quality issues with them. I'm gonna say, I almost forgot to mention this, but I'm gonna wrap this up after this. Um, Someone just sold a belt, and the nameplate had corrosion, and they took, from what I understand, I haven't talked to the person that sold it nor the person that bought it, even though I know who they both are, but I'm gonna give them anonymity here. Um, Took quite a loss in selling it, because it had not only that going on with the tarnish, but also they didn't space the plates right. I think what they did was they mounted the side plates first and then realized that the main plate was going to have to be off center, because the to sort of give you an example of what I'm talking about here, I have to go back to that spread with the belt over both pages. So I think what they did was they put the side plates on first. They tried to set the main plate in there, and they realized, oh, it's too close to this side plate. So what they did is they moved the main plate over and then punched the holes, because you can look and see that it's closer to the stitching on this edge of the belt than it is to stitching on this edge of the belt. So I think to try to compensate for that gap, rather than put it on a new strap, which they should have done, they caught their mistake, but they want to put it on a new strap, and so that's why you have a smaller gap over here still than you do over here on the C4 offering. That's just, a couple little things that, had the belt not been resold, probably would have never seen the line of day. So I've got a couple belts in the works. Those should be coming, I would think, within the next 3 weeks, maybe 4. And then also, I'm going to do another unconventional belt video. I'm going to do just something, it pertains to belts, but it's not going to be a wrestling belt review. But I'm going to keep you guys in the dark on that one too. So that video will probably be coming next week. But anyway, guys, take care, and I'll see you guys on the next one.